An NFL player's career is a very short period of their life, and it can be over before you know it. And every play a player makes or does not make is critical for playing football at the highest level. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing a couple of NFL players that are entering a make or break season for the rest of their career. And to be clear, I don't think any of the guys in today's video will be playing their final season in 2023, but I do think this will shape how the majority of the rest of their career will go. Remember, players like Geno Smith are the exception and not the standard, so if a player does not play well this year, don't think he can be a backup for 5, 6, or 7 seasons and become a big-time starter. This video is not just quarterback related, and we are going to discuss the team outlook for these guys as well, meaning how they fit into their long-term plans beyond the 2023 season, and without further ado, let's begin. And we are starting today's video by discussing Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen. Patrick was a first-round pick back in 2020 after becoming a national champion with the LSU Tigers during their historic run led by quarterback Joe Burrow and head coach Ed Orgeron. And in 3 years, Queen has been a solid player for the Ravens and has flashed in big ways at times, but has also had his fair share of down moments too. He's played in and started all 50 games since becoming a Raven, and a lot of the fan base would like Patrick to stay a member of the team for the next several years, but as we know with the NFL, and as Ravens fans especially know, given what they just went through with their quarterback, the NFL is a business, and Patrick is entering a contract year because the Ravens did not pick up his fifth-year option for the 2024 season, which would have paid him north of $12 million. And a big reason why it is a make or break year for Patrick isn't because this year determines whether or not he stays in the league for the next 6 or 7 years or anything like that, but because 2023 for him personally is a tryout for the 31 other NFL teams. And for as good as Roquan Smith is as a linebacker for the Ravens, in what was a great trade for Baltimore by the way, the feasibility of the team paying 2 inside linebackers north of, and we'll conservatively say, $12 million per year for Patrick, while paying Roquan an average salary of his fresh extension $20 million per year is almost zero. This is not an edge position where you need 2 guys to get after Joe Burrow to win the North when it matters most, or to get after Josh Allen, and you get the point. And an underrated draft pick, or at least a pick not talked about for the Ravens this year, is third-round linebacker Trenton Simpson from Clemson. I firmly believe Simpson was drafted to be the Patrick Queen replacement and used 2023 as a redshirt year for him, so he can come in and seamlessly transition from backup to starter in 2024 next to Roquan Smith. And when Patrick hits free agency next year, there's a lot to like for the other 31 teams that could want him to become their starting linebacker. Unlike a lot of the prospects in the 2023 NFL draft due to COVID years and redshirt years, this was a very old draft class. And Queen was younger than some of the prospects in the class, like Will Levis for example, despite entering his 4th NFL season. So teams will have a chance at a 24-year-old linebacker next year that could realistically start for them for close to half a decade, and if they're lucky, maybe even 6 or 7 years, depending on health of course. So for Patrick, if he balls out this year, it's pretty simple. He can cash in and receive a very nice payday next year, similar to what Tremaine Edmunds received from the Bears in March of this year. It probably wouldn't be as high as an average of $18 million per year like Tremaine's was, but he can cash in nonetheless. And if Patrick does not have a good year next year, then the money he could receive will dwindle to someone taking a chance on a former first-round pick. So for Patrick, 2023 is a make or break year. Staying in the AFC for the next player, and it is Gabe Davis of the Buffalo Bills. Gabe, like Patrick, is entering a contract year, and the big thing here with Davis is he needs to be a consistent receiver, and he hasn't been through 3 years. And it is extremely frustrating for, well, everyone, to put it mildly. If you know anything about Gabe Davis or have followed his career even in the slightest, then you know the biggest game of his life was in the 2021 divisional round against the Chiefs when he had 8 receptions for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns. Not 1 or 2, but 4 with the season on the line. And unfortunately, the Bills couldn't hold the lead at the end, and their season ended with the infamous 13 seconds drive. But heading into 2022, Gabe was expected to take a big step and be a legit number 2 receiver opposite Stefon Diggs. And like we've seen throughout Gabe's career, he has absurdly high flashes, then follows it up with poor play, and 2022 was a 17-game sample of this. He finished the year with 836 yards and 7 touchdowns, which isn't bad, and I'm not scoffing at his production, but when you break it down, I do think it is a hair disappointing, and here's why. He had the big 98-yard touchdown against the Steelers, which alone accounted for 11.7% of his yards for the year on a single play, then later in the game had a 62-yard touchdown and finished the day with 171 yards. That's a really good game, whether it's from Gabe Davis, Devontae Adams, or anybody. But to have over 20% of your season yardage total in one game is not good, and Gabe only caught 48 passes for the entire 2022 season. And I think what gets lost sometimes with Gabe is this fantasy or this idea that because he had a great game in what was a historic playoff game, that he can become a perennial 1,000-yard player and that he can become a legitimate guy. And 3 years into his career, he has 2 seasons with 35 catches and a season with 48 catches. And oh yeah, the Bills just spent a first-round pick on a very good tight end receiving prospect in Dalton Kincaid to help out their passing game. Gabe had a catch percentage of just 51.6% in 2022, which is, well, bad, and that needs to be improved if he wants to get compensated next offseason. And to give you an idea of how bad of a catch percentage 51.6% is, he finished 33rd in the NFL in receiving yards last year with the aforementioned 836, and out of those top 33 players, he finished 33rd in catch percentage, with the closest being DJ Moore at 53.4%, who was being thrown passes by Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and PJ Walker. Gabe has the talent, and we certainly see it a few times per year, but we need him to be more consistent and haul in passes at a more consistent rate. And the last thing about Gabe, because I'm sure it will be brought up, he hauled in just 14 of 28 passes between 0 and 9 yards from the line of scrimmage, compared to 28 of 45 passes between 10 and 19 yards from the line of scrimmage in 2022, meaning he's not hauling in the easy catches that he needs to. So yes, Gabe does get targeted down the field, but he needs to secure the short catches too. Next up is Aaron Donald, as we need to see if his whole career has been a fluke and to see if he's lucked into 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. And all jokes aside, it is Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears. Justin improved a lot from year 1 to year 2, but the biggest thing for him in 2022 was the lack of talent he had around him, and it reared its ugly head several times. The team finished with a 3-14 record, and Justin's leading receiver was tight end Cole Kmet, who finished the year with 50 receptions for 544 yards and 7 touchdowns. And heading into the 2023 offseason, it was very much, how can we get better for Justin to succeed in this offense and for this franchise? Because having weapons of Kmet, Darnell Mooney, and Equanimous St. Brown as your top 3 receivers is not setting anyone up for success, let alone a second-year player in Fields that needs weapons around him. So GM Ryan Poles addressed this in a big way this offseason by bringing in former Panthers receiver DJ Moore, and while trading back in the draft, still acquired their right tackle of the future in Darnell Wright. And for as much as they improved the roster this offseason, it's time for Justin and the offense to step up and to produce. I don't fault Justin for not having a great 2022 season, especially from a statistical standpoint, as not many guys could have came in this situation and hand he's been dealt with from the minute he was the Bears' first-round pick back in 2021, and have not just competed, but have actual success. People that dislike Justin Fields like to toss out his lifetime record, which, for anyone wondering, is just 5-20, as if that's supposed to say he's a bust or something, while not factoring in really anything that's gone down within the franchise in the first 2 years of his career. Former GM Ryan Pace and former head coach Matt Nagy made a last-minute desperation to bring him in and try and save their jobs when they were already on their way out the door. And new general manager Ryan Poles couldn't fix this mess in one season, so not surprisingly, Justin Fields' win-loss record as a starting quarterback has been awful. I don't think the Bears are going to go 12-5 or 13-4 this year and take the league by storm, but I think they can reasonably win 8 or 9 games and be knocking on the door for a wild card spot. Will they get to the playoffs is something else, and I would say probably not this year, but it is time for Fields to step up, because in the Bears' mind, they've given him a good chance at succeeding in the NFL. They gave him a good receiver, and even the depth they have at receiver isn't bad. They've given him a solid offensive line, and the running back by committee they have is pretty good, and there's a chance they have a huge draft steal in Roschon Johnson. The defense will be better this year, which in turn should give Chicago better starting field position and not require them to put up 40 points per game just to have a chance at winning. And we're in year 3 now for Mr. Fields, and this is the year of where we truly find out if he is their long-term franchise quarterback or if they're drafting another one next April. From Justin Fields to another quarterback in the NFC, and it is Baker Mayfield of the Bucs. Baker did not have a great 2022 season, as he finished the year completing just 60% of his passes, threw just 10 touchdowns, and had a record of 2-8 as a starter. A lot of people at this point in his career have completely written him off as a quarterback in the NFL, and I get it. He had his flashes during his time in Cleveland, and was injured towards the end of his time in Northeast Ohio, and tried to rush back, and in the final 2 games as a Brown, he threw 6 interceptions and was sacked 14 times, and that was it. Enter the Deshaun Watson era as Baker was shipped to Charlotte. But here we are again with a new beginning for Baker Mayfield, and this time around, he has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to throw the football to, and enters a very favorable situation from a quarterback standpoint. The division he's in is not good, and the Bucs have an easier schedule compared to a lot of other NFL teams. And the contract he signed is very much a prove-it deal. If Baker plays well for Tampa, given he is a quarterback, he will of course be compensated, and if he does not play well, then he will have a Gardner Minshew type role as a quarterback where it's bounce around from team to team and hope to get another chance. He flashed during the Raiders game on prime time during his 5-game stint as a Ram, but what will he do during his time as a Buck? Well, we'll soon find out, and if he doesn't play well, his career as a starter at least, or at least being given the chance heading into the season, is over. Deshaun Watson is a player that's very much in the situation of now or never, and over the course of the offseason, we will talk about more him and the Browns, and I do like the situation Deshaun is in, as he has Nick Chubb to hand the ball off to, he has a pretty good offensive line, and even his left tackle Jedrick Wills is also in a now or never year, and he also has Amari Cooper to throw the ball to. So all in all, not a bad situation for Deshaun, and Chargers corner JC Jackson could have also very much made today's video after a disappointing first season in LA, but that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world and help the growth of the channel a ton. Until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.